All right, welcome to today's Explainer. I'm putting on my dating coach hat today because we are going to completely transform how you handle digital communication. We're diving deep into modern texting etiquette, and I'm going to break down the exact step-by-step strategies you need to build genuine attraction right from your phone. If you've ever felt totally lost or just kind of stuck in the modern dating scene when it comes to texting, you are exactly where you need to be. So get focused, maybe grab a mental notebook, and let's level up your texting game.
So, I want you to think back for a second. Have you ever had a conversation that started off absolutely amazing? The chemistry felt super real, she was replying quickly, you were both just vibing, and then suddenly, you literally watched it just slowly fade away into nothing. Man, it is an incredibly frustrating feeling. And honestly, it's a pain point that pretty much everyone experiences at some point in modern dating.
You definitely know this familiar progression. It starts at step one, right? You've got that great chemistry and those rapid-fire replies. Then it subtly slides into step two. Her replies become noticeably shorter, and what used to take 2 minutes is suddenly taking hours, or maybe even days. And finally, you hit the dreaded step three, complete silence. You've been ghosted. So what actually went wrong? Well, most guys instantly blame their pickup lines, or they think, I just wasn't funny enough. But the truth? It is rarely about some cheesy opening line. It's almost always your small, everyday texting habits that are quietly pushing people away.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover why conversations go cold, stop interviewing and start storytelling, managing texting anxiety, reading interest and effort, transitioning to real life, and finally, handling rejection with grace. We're going to diagnose the biggest mistakes and give you high-value alternatives for every single one of them.
Okay, part one, why conversations go cold.
The absolute fastest way to kill attraction is by creating pressure. Like sending message after message without giving the other person a second to respond? Massive mistake. If you send a message and she hasn't replied, sending, hey, or are you there, or, oh man, the classic guilt trip, I guess you're ignoring me, that never ever helps. It just pushes her further away. Patience shows confidence. Plus, you really don't need to try so hard to be unbelievably funny or overly clever with every single text. When you're constantly performing instead of just being authentic, it feels totally unnatural. The best conversations flow because they're genuine. You don't have to be a stand-up comedian, you literally just have to be you.
Moving on to part two, stop interviewing, start storytelling.
We all fall into this texting interrogation trap. You know, the bad interview script. What do you do? Where do you live? What's your favorite color? It's just question after question after question. And honestly, this is exhausting for the person on the other end. They feel like they're filling out a census form, not getting to know a potential partner. The high-value alternative here is balancing genuine questions with your own stories, opinions, and observations. Instead of just asking, how was your day? Drop a little story. Say something like, I just had the craziest interaction at the coffee shop today. When you share a brief story or an observation, you give her something interesting to hook onto and respond to totally naturally. So what exactly should you be sharing? I call this the positivity pivot. Listen, nobody enjoys constant complaining or talking about stress and drama all the time. It's just emotionally exhausting. Instead, focus on high-value sharing. Talk about positive experiences from your day. Open up about your personal goals, your passions, your hobbies, or just funny little moments that caught you off guard. When you share good energy, you naturally become someone who is just way more enjoyable to be around. You're essentially building a highly attractive environment right inside her phone.
Which brings us to part three, managing your texting anxiety. Let's trace how this anxiety builds, because I know so many of us have been here. Hour one, you're waiting for a reply. It's fine, no big deal, she's probably just busy. But then hour two hits. The panic and overthinking start to creep in. You start wondering, wait, did I say something wrong? Is she losing interest? By hour three, the anxiety is totally boiling over, and you cave. You send another message entirely just to get reassurance that she's still there. Guys, you have got to break this cycle. This internal panic is the exact thing driving all your worst texting habits.
Whenever you feel that intense urge to double text or fish for reassurance, I want you to run through this mental exercise. Think about this. Confidence means understanding that people have lives outside their phones. Give the conversation room to breathe. Really let that sink in. She's at work. She's with friends. She's out living her life. When you stay totally calm and allow the space for her to reply on her own time, you are demonstrating immense self-assurance.
And a huge part of managing that anxiety is just letting go of the need to constantly impress. There is a massive difference between pretending and being authentic. Pretending means trying to sound richer, cooler, or artificially confident just to win her approval. It creates a ton of internal pressure for you because now you have to maintain an act. Authenticity means being the genuine you right from the jump. And why does this matter so much? Because the real you always shows up eventually anyway. If you want to create a strong long-term bond, you've got to drop the act. Shedding the anxiety of a performance is literally the most attractive, pressure-free choice you can make. The right person is going to appreciate exactly who you are.
All right, part 4, reading interest and effort.
This brings us to what I like to call the energy match test. You simply cannot blindly push for a date if the energy just isn't there. When there's high interest and mutual effort, she asks you questions, she initiates conversations, and she shows genuine curiosity about your life. That is an awesome sign. But contrast that with low interest and low effort. She's just giving one-word replies, you're always carrying the conversation, and you feel like you have to try harder and harder just to keep the chat on life support. Look, if you are doing all the heavy lifting, you need to take a step back. Don't try harder. Pause. See if she steps up to make the effort mutual. Healthy conversations demand equal effort, plain and simple.
Section 5, transitioning to real life.
The absolutely crucial point here is this. Real connections grow through shared experiences, not endless messages. Taking way too long to move beyond texting is a fatal mistake in modern dating. You can only build so much attraction through a glowing screen. You definitely do not want a text message pen pal, you want a real relationship in the real world.
So once you've established that mutual interest we just talked about, it is time to take it offline and do it smoothly and respectfully. First, ensure the conversation has actually been enjoyable for a while. Please don't rush it in the first 5 minutes of matching. Next, you might just suggest a simple phone call to actually hear each other's voices. Then, when you're ready for a date, propose meeting up in a safe, public place. The real key here is checking in to make sure both of you are completely comfortable with the plan. It shows leadership, for sure, but it also shows deep respect for her boundaries.
And finally, part 6, handling rejection with grace.
The reality is, even if you do everything absolutely perfectly, sometimes it's just not going to work out. Why? Well, maybe the timing just isn't right in their life. Maybe the mutual chemistry just isn't quite there in person. Or maybe the other person simply isn't interested. I really need you to hear this loud and clear. A rejection is just a misalignment of these factors. It absolutely does not define your personal value. A truly high-value person understands this and doesn't take it personally.
Handling rejection well is pretty much the ultimate test of your character, and honestly, it is just as important as starting a good conversation in the first place. Here's your fail-proof playbook if it doesn't work out. Step 1. Respect their decision gracefully. That means no arguing and definitely no begging. Step 2. Wish them well, genuinely. And step 3. Move forward with confidence. Use every single interaction as an opportunity to learn and grow. When you handle a rejection like this, you protect your own peace and you maintain your dignity.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this really powerful final reframe. The goal isn't to convince someone to like you. The goal is to discover whether the two of you genuinely enjoy getting to know each other. That completely shifts your whole dating mindset, doesn't it? It takes you entirely away from a stressful performance where you constantly have to prove your worth and moves you into a relaxed, fun discovery process. You're just exploring if there's a genuine fit. And guys, that is exactly how healthy relationships begin.
We've covered a massive amount of ground today, from stopping those exhausting interview interrogations, to calming your inner texting anxiety, to finally transitioning into real life. But now I want to turn it over to you. Think about it. Which texting mistake do you think people make most often? Is it the endless questioning, or maybe the panic double texting? I want you to reflect on your own habits, take these high-value alternatives to heart, and just watch how your digital conversations completely transform. Keep practicing out there, and I will see you in the next explainer.